Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
الحمد لله خالق الوجود من العدم وجاعل النور من الظلم ومخرج الصبر من الألم فملقي التوبة على الندم فنشكره على المصائب كما نشكره على النعم ونصلي على رسوله الأكرم ذي الشرف الأشم والنور الأتم والكتاب المحكم وكمال النبيين والخاتم سيد ولد آدم الذي بشر به عيسى بن مريم ودعا لبعثته إبراهيم عليه السلام حين كان يرفع قواعد بيت الله المحرم. فصلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى أتباعه خير الأمم الذين بارك الله بهم كافة الناس العرب منهم والعجم. فالحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ ولدا ولم يكن له شريك في الملك ولم يكن له ولي من الذل وكبره تكبيرا. والحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا. والحمد لله الذي نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. ونشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله أرسله الله تعالى بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا. فصلى الله عليه وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وإن شر الأمور محدثاتها وإن كل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. قال الله عز وجل في كتابه الكريم بعد أن أقول أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: قل يا أهل الكتاب لا تغلوا في دينكم غير الحق ولا تتبعوا أهواء قوم قد ضلوا من قبل وأضلوا كثيرا وضلوا عن سواء السبيل. اللهم لا تجعلنا من الضالين ولا تجعلنا من المضلين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. واللهم ثبتنا عند الموت بلا إله إلا الله. واللهم اجعلنا من الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. آمين يا رب العالمين. I think many of you have probably heard before that one of the ways that we can describe our religion is a religion of balance. And we're going to try to flesh this idea of balance out for the purpose of this khutbah. And in order to do that, we're going to start with something very fundamental in these few minutes. We ask Allah for guidance to a straight path in Surah Al-Fatiha, Ihdina as-Sirat al-Mustaqim. And right after that path, it would have been enough if we asked Allah to get, if you're asking someone for directions and you're asking to get to the right destination, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, right? So we're asking the most direct path that leads to Allah's pleasure and leads us to the destination that's required for us in this life all the way to the next life, right? So the imagery of the straight path is very powerful, but it's not enough. Allah didn't stop there. Allah taught us to say something more. He taught us to say غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ صِرَاطَ الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ. So there's two components here. One, on the one hand, not only is the path straight, but others have walked this path before. So show us the people who did this before us, right? So there's already a case study. There's already a role model. There's already a precedent. And the thing about paths in the old world, and nowadays, of course, we have paved roads. But in the old world, when people would travel in a certain direction over and over again, even if it was in the wilderness, it would naturally form a path, right? The grass would stop growing there, and you could see that there's a path already formed. People have treaded this before. So you could see that you're not the first one to go down this way, right? So Allah is now taking elements from those paths and He's giving us those people in the Quran. But what's even more peculiar is Allah then says, غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ. Don't show us this is the path we do want, and here are these other two pathways we don't want. Keep us away from these two other pathways. Which is odd in a sense, because if Allah already told you, you already asked Allah, I want to see the straight path, then why add and not the two deviated paths, right? Because the straight is straight. and the deviate is deviating. So, and anybody can tell the difference. It's because these two deviations, basically you can say these two exits from the highway, they are so small and so subtle that you won't even realize that you took the exit. You won't even realize it. So you're asking Allah, Ya Allah, I want to be very vigilant and very careful and cautious not to end up on the wrong road, even though my intention was already to be on the right road. I don't want to end up on the road of al-maghdub alayhim. I don't want to end up on the road of ad-dallin. And by the way, the imagery suggests that those two groups of people were already on the right path and then they veered off. So I don't want to be, so the point is, it's not enough to get on the right road. The challenge will be staying on the right road. That's going to be the challenge. And that challenge is going to come, the two most likely ways that we can fall off track is a path of people before us who made similar mistakes and they're described as al-maghdub alayhim, and another group that made a different kind of group of mistakes, ad-dallin. Now, coming back to the idea that I started with, I said our religion is a religion of balance, right? So it's as if Allah is saying there's one path that's balanced. And there's one imbalance that goes this way and the other imbalance goes that way. There's two different kinds of imbalances that can happen. And from that, now let's take another step. Of course, Allah has described people before us and what their imbalances were. Al-Maghdubi alayhim have been talked about in great detail. Ad-Dallin have been talked about in great detail. And the simplest way for the purposes of a khutbah, because a khutbah is not a long education, it's a few minutes. So just the simplest way you can think about this is what's the difference between those who earned Allah's anger, those who were deserving of anger, al-Maghdub alayhim, and who are the people that are lost, ad-Dallin. Just for practical purposes, if you know that you're turning the wrong way, you know that's the wrong turn, but you do it anyway. You know it's wrong, but you're like, yeah, it's bad, but it's not that bad. Even if I took a turn, it's not like I'm on a different road, it's just a slight exit. It's not that big of a deal. So you do the wrong thing, and then you minimize the fact that so what? It's not that bad, right? So it's not just a mistake, it's a knowing mistake. And it's a minimizing of the mistake. These are people that don't have an excuse when they get caught. Why'd you take the exit? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Yes, you did. You meant to, and you told yourself it's not so bad. There are people before us who said, even if we do wrong, even if we end up in the fire, لَن تَمَسَّنَا النَّارُ إِلَّا أَيَّامًا مَعْدُودَاتٍ. The fire won't touch us except for a few days. It's okay. Even if it's haram, it's not that haram. It's like a weekend of punishment in hell, and after that we'll be back in Jannah again. No big deal. So they minimized going off the path. They made it okay. They made it okay to do that. That's al-maghdub alayhim. That's one mentality. Another mentality is they didn't intend to go on the wrong path, actually. They just got lost. They just got lost. How do you get lost? When you don't have proper directions. That's how you get lost, right? And so those people, they are not the same as the first group. The first group is doing something more deliberately. The second group is just confused. You're asking Allah to also make sure that you're not confused. You're well educated. You're well informed of what the path is. So you're not just going in blind and you end up wherever you end up and you're like, I didn't know any better. The people who say, I didn't know any better are very close to ad-Dallin because, well, why didn't you try to educate yourself? Why didn't you learn more before you embarked on this journey? Why didn't you realize that this path isn't just on default, once you get on it, you're just going to do the right thing no matter what? No. Once you get on it, you better follow directions in case you don't end up in the wrong place, which means you have to keep close eye on the instructions. So if you want to really simplify that, one group does wrong after having knowledge, and the other group does wrong without pursuing knowledge, right? And both of them are wrong, which means the people in the middle have to take the quest for learning. They have to learn what the right path is, serious. They have to take that learning seriously because they're not off the hook for not learning. But after they learn, they can't be aloof and say, I learned it, but I still don't take it seriously. They can't go that way either. They have to find their way in the middle. And it's a very oversimplified way of me trying to explain to you this approach to balance in our religion. This approach applies across the board. But in the rest of this time of the khutbah, I want to take you somewhere else. This notion of balance, Allah then, what He did in the Quran is He didn't just have conversations with Muslims. He did something very interesting. No other religious text does this. Religious texts, if there are any, and writings of theologians, writers, etc., they're speaking to their own people. They're speaking to the faithful. So in the Quran, for example, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu, those of you who believe, that's talking to us. But the Quran makes it a point to talk to non-Muslims. It's having a direct conversation with people of the book, for example. Both Jews and Christians are a direct audience in the Quran. So just like you find Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu, you also find Ya ahlal kitab, people of the book. Ya bani Israel, sons of Israel. He's talking to them directly. Ya ayyuhal ladhina kafaru, la ta'tathiru al-yawm. Those of you who disbelieve, don't make excuses today. Ya ayyuhan nas, people, humanity. Allah is not just talking to Muslims. Allah is talking to everybody else. But we know, you and I know, being on the inside of Islam, we know that all of it, the whole book, is relevant to us. It's for us. Even when it's talking to them, it's still beneficial for us. That's our faith. So when Allah chooses to speak to those people and tells them something, when He's telling them something, it's not like I read that and say, oh, thank God, that's not about me, that's just about them. Let me go to the parts that are about me. That's not my mentality as a believer. I have to look at those ayat and say, well, Allah is telling them because they took that wrong turn. I better pay attention because in the very Fatiha, I begged Allah to make sure that I don't make the mistakes that people before me made. So if He's warning them right now, that warning is still relevant for me because I'm still in danger of taking an exit and taking the wrong turn. So I'm going to take just one of those ayat. This phrase occurs twice in Al-Ma'idah and before that in An-Nisa. But I'll take the ayah from Al-Ma'idah, which before this ayah, Allah was talking to the Christians, and after this ayah, Allah is talking about the Jews. So it's almost combining both. Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu la taghlu fi dinikum. Ya ahlal kitab rather, sorry. Ya ahlal kitab, though the people of the book, do not become excessive in your religion. Don't become bloated in your religion. La taghlu fi dinikum. Easy English, I would say, don't become overboard. Don't become extreme in your religion. Al-ghulu. Ghulu in Arabic is when an animal becomes too fat, or a bone becomes too thick, or the swelling becomes too large, or the arrow pierced too deeply. All of these are examples of ghala. They even say when the prices in the marketplace, like, grocery prices are about to get higher because of what happened in the tariff wars, etc., right? We're going to see the implications in a few weeks. But when they do, we'll say ghala si'r. Prices have been inflated. Prices are swollen. Real estate people will talk about when prices go too high and the market's unnaturally inflated, right? That's ghulu, actually. Allah is saying there's such a thing as ghulu in your religion. In your religion. And if Allah is warning them about this, but the point I'm making so far is the warning is relevant for me and the warning is relevant for you. So let's understand that. What does it mean to go overboard in your religion? Our religion is made up of guidance from Allah. All of the things in our religion are good things. All of them are good things. If you remember nothing else from today's khutbah, just remember this one thing. If you do a good thing, but you don't do it in balance, it also becomes a bad thing. Even when you do a good thing, and you do too much of it, that's not healthy. That's not good. That's not okay. Drinking water is healthy. There is a quantity of water you can drink and kill yourself. Even though it's water. It's the source of life on this earth. Right? Let's talk about within our religion. The famous story, I won't narrate the entire text of the hadith, but just the overall point, because you've heard this many times before. There are companions of the Prophet ﷺ who were very excited about the religion, and one of them said, I'm just going to not sleep anymore, I'm just going to pray tahajjud all night, every night. I'm just not going to sleep. Another said, I'm just going to fast every day. The other one said, I'm just never going to get married. I don't want to fall into temptation. Forget temptation. I'm just not even going to get married. Forget it. Right? And the Rasul ﷺ corrected all three of them. Because you're all going overboard. You're doing too much. But it's not just about doing too much. If you're going to stay up all night, the human body, what's going to happen to it? You're not going to have energy in the day. You're going to be half asleep in the day. So by the time you get to Dhuhr prayer, even if you're praying and your eyes are rolling in the back of your head. Are you able to concentrate even on the other prayers? No. You went overboard here, and the price is going to be paid somewhere else. And you were required to do work in the day. You were required to take care of your family in the day. You were required to be maybe he's a guard at the gates of a city and he's half asleep. Is he putting other lives at risk because he's staying up all night every night? And can other lives be lost because he was staying up all night and he's thinking he's doing a good thing? Yeah. That one good thing, too much of it can create major problems, can't it? Somebody says, I love the masjid. The rewards, I heard a lecture about the rewards of being in the masjid. I just want to be in the masjid all the time. I just don't want to leave. I just want the blessings of Allah. The dunya is fitna outside. I just want to be in Allah's house. Nobody's here. One car parked outside. Homeboy sitting here and just chilling. Hours and hours and hours. Right? What happens to the rights of his wife, his children, his mother, his father? What happens to his financial responsibilities? What happens to his social responsibility? What happens to all of that? All of the things. And he's sitting here reading Quran. He's sitting here 8 hours a day reading Quran. But that Quran is telling him to take care of his family. That Quran is telling him to make sure that he takes care of his parents. That Quran is telling him to fulfill all of these other obligations. And ironically, he thinks he's doing a good thing while violating all of those ayat that he's so passionately reciting. You can do a good thing, but it can very easily turn into a bad thing. Why? Because you can go out of balance. It's as simple as that, just going out of balance. Our entire religion is actually based on this idea of balance. What happens often is that a person, sin happens. Human beings make mistakes. So you made a mistake. Let's just say you one time got very angry at your child and you raised your voice. Now there's a guilt in you. I can't believe I was so harsh to my kid. I can't believe I did that. I'm never going to raise my voice at my child again. I'm never going to be that kind of dad again, etc., 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 right? Now you decide to become like the most pacifist father that ever existed. Is that healthy for your child? Does your child still need boundaries? Does your child still need some discipline? Does your child sometimes you need to take a stern tone and correct your child, etc.? But you're reacting to one mistake and you're overcorrecting. You're overcorrecting. And you created another extreme. And that extreme is not benefiting your child. That extreme is destroying your child. It's actually destroying your child. This is the teaching that goes across the board in everything. Even not just at the level of individuals. In the part of the world where I come from, in South Asia, for example, in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, etc., we are taught religion most of the time. Unfortunately, we're taught the religion through an extreme. So, for example, there will be a lot of emphasis on the rights of elders and the rights of parents and the rights of somebody, or the respect for scholars, for example. All of these are good things. I should respect scholars. I should respect my parents. My elders have rights, etc., etc., etc. But when you only emphasize that and emphasize it and emphasize it and emphasize it, and it gets inflated and bloated, it becomes ghulu. And now what happens? Now there are other people who have rights. And now it becomes okay to take away their rights because your mother told you to take them away. Or your father told you to take them away. Or your father decides something unfair or unjust and you can't raise your voice about it. You can't say anything about it because, hey, respect your father. Respect your mother. The same Quran that says stand up for justice, even if it's against both your parents. وَلَوْ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَوِ الْوَالِدَيْنِ وَالْأَقْرَبِينَ. That's also Quran. The same Quran that says be the best to your parents says stand up for justice, even if you have to stand up against yourself and against both of your parents, because the Quran is constantly teaching balance. But what happens in a culture where you'll highlight one thing and you ignore the other? You create an imbalance and people think this is Islam. People start thinking this is Islam. This is the same kind of extreme that will happen. Respect for ulama, respect for scholars is a cornerstone of our civilization. We have to have respect for scholars. But does respect for scholars means you can't ask them a question and you can't say, hey, you said something, but that's not making sense. Or you said something, I'm not sure how that adds up. Can you explain yourself? Or there seems to be a contradiction between what you said here and what you said here. Can you reconcile that? Could it be that you made a mistake? And he says, you have no respect for the ulama. Do you know where I graduated from? Do you know who my father was? Do you know the history of my heritage and the ijazat I got? You're going to question me? That kind of mentality would have worked maybe in the Catholic Church at some point when you're going to question the Pope. That could have worked. That could have worked in some other religious tradition where you don't question the religious clergy. But in this religion, we started the Surah Al-Baqarah with Allah making a verdict that He's going to put humans on the earth, and the angels asked a question, how could you do that? He's going to cause corruption in the world. Even Allah gave the right to the angels to ask questions when they didn't understand something. And they're not questioning a scholar. They're questioning who? Allah Himself. Our religion began with the right to ask questions, and Allah didn't say, how dare you ask a question? Allah said, إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. But it can become an extreme, can't it? And once that becomes an extreme, once any extreme forms, it becomes like a cancer. It has larger consequences on the society. It starts having multiple reactions, not just limited to one area, in all other areas. So this teaching of balance is actually something not only the Muslims need, it's actually what all of humanity needs. It's all of humanity. And it always begins with a good idea. Like I said, rights of parents is a good idea. We're living in times of great extremism, even in government, where you'll take an idea like national security. A good idea. A powerful, legitimate idea. Every nation on earth should be concerned with national security. But when you go excessive, that same good term, you can commit unspoken kinds of immoral, illegal, inhumane activities in the name of what? National security, right? Because you went into an extreme. In our judgments, the word deen, the last thing I'll share with you today, is the word deen isn't just for religion. The word deen in Arabic, like the phrasing in Arabic, كَمَا تَدِينُ تُدَانُ, the way you deal with people, that is how you shall be dealt with. Deen is actually an all-encompassing term for how you deal with people, how you make judgments. You know, like a famous hadith, you marry a woman for her deen, doesn't just mean does she wear hijab or not. It actually means how does she deal with elders, how does she deal with conflict, how does she deal with, her peers, how does she deal with other women, how does she deal with in-laws, what are her dealings like? That's actually deen too, right? So when Allah says, لا تغلوا في دينكم, this is a pretty comprehensive phrase the people of the book were told. Don't become obsessive, don't become extreme in any of your dealings, in any of them. Now, before I leave you, I just want to give you some food for thought because this has so many powerful implications. I want to leave you with something that for you to think about and discuss, inshallah, with your friends and family as we end this khutbah. And that has to do with an extreme that the Muslims sometimes fall into without realizing it. The kinds of, as a group, not as individuals, but even as a group. On the one hand, you can have an extreme, this is we want a protective environment for our children. We want to protect our kids from bad influences outside, right? So that's a good thing. There should be a nurturing, protective environment for our children. If you take that too far, then you're putting your children inside of a cocoon and they don't know what's going on in the outside world. They don't know what other kids are doing and talking about. They don't know what's out there. And the moment they get old enough, because you cannot keep them inside this cocoon forever, eventually you'll have to get them out of that environment and take them outside. And because you tried to overprotect them, they weren't ready for what's coming from the outside. They never learned what it means to get into a fight and how to deal with that problem. They never learned how to face adversity. They never learned to respond to someone who's making fun of them or to challenge what they believe. They never learned any of that. They never learned how to handle intimidation, how to respond to it, how to engage with it, how to deal with it. Why? Because you were trying to protect them. Well, your attempt to protect them actually made them the most unprotected. That one extreme ended up becoming the other extreme, right? And then there are other folks that can say, no, I want my child to know what the world is like. I want them to make non-Muslim friends, and as they should. I believe they should too. And so they engage with the society, but there's not enough of a nurturing environment to strengthen what they actually believe, right? So now they're too overexposed to the outside and the outside elements, and that's become an extreme. And what's supposed to ground them in their own identity and their own protected environment, what's supposed to fuel them, not enough of that is there. And what happens is those kids eventually say, well, I don't know about this Islam thing, Mom. You do your Islam. I'm out. I don't want to deal with it. And then those people come into the imam and say, give me an extreme solution. Give me some surah I can recite and on my child, and they'll come back to Islam. Right? That's not how this works. When you take when you follow an extreme path, you're going to get extreme consequences. That's just the nature of things that Allah has made. It is and the final food for thought I'll give you on this subject. Inshallah, I plan on fleshing this out some more for us. Muslims, we've had a good life in the U.S. and we've had some hiccups along the way, but we've had a good life in the U.S. As I travel across the world, I get more perspective on what life for Muslims is like everywhere, in the Muslim world and the non-Muslim world, right? The United States, Muslims, the Muslim community fares much better. Our life is much easier and much more opportunistic, but we have much more opportunity than most places in the world to live the way we want to live, to practice our religion the way we want to practice our religion, to study our religion, to learn our religion, to engage in discourse, etc., etc. We've had that. But unfortunately, we took this to an extreme. And what we did as a result of this extreme is we became too comfortable. We became too comfortable. The thing is, we stopped learning from history. When a minority stays in a larger society and they become too comfortable and they stay within themselves, the larger society, even though you're going to the same grocery stores, you're stopping at the same gas stations, you're going to the same hospitals, you're engaged in that society, but you're also cut off from them. You're not engaging, and they don't know what you're actually about. They don't know what you're really about, right? There's not enough engagement with them. Eventually, that society, they will need someone to blame for their problems. And this is history. This is not America. This is history. And usually, faith communities are one of the first targets. And the reason they're targets is because they were actually comfortably living in one form of an extreme or another, and they didn't address something that was so basic in our religion: the rights of your neighbor. Many people live 10 minutes away, 15 minutes away, 20 minutes away from a masjid. They know people at the masjid, barely, but they definitely don't know 5 neighbors this way and 5 neighbors that way. Forget 10 neighbors and 40 neighbors like the hadith mentions. They don't even know 5 neighbors. They don't even know. So when something's going to happen, they can't be good to their neighbor. By the way, Quran told you to be good to your neighbor or no? Yeah. Right? The Quran told us that. And imagine the entire Muslim community was good to their neighbors across the USA, just across the USA. Wouldn't that become one of the most powerful Islamophobia campaigns that ever existed? Like, before your neighbor watches something on Fox News or whatever about Muslims or anywhere else on the other platform, before that image of the Muslim is already broken by their neighbor Ahmed, their neighbor Kareem, their neighbor Fatima, isn't it? But we became extremely comfortable and isolated. And we became happy in that comfort and that isolation. And there are prices to pay for that. It's not too late, but we better wake up. None of these forms of extremes are going to help us survive. None of them. There are people who live extremely. Their extreme is they live in the past. They don't want to live in the present. Why can't we go back to the days of Umar radiallahu anhu? Because Allah decided that the days of Umar radiallahu anhu are over. That's why. Because Allah decided that it's 2025. Oh, things before social media were so good. Well, Allah decided to allow social media to spread all over the world. What do you want to do? Before social media, there was less fitna. No, there wasn't. Have you studied pre-Islamic poetry? Have you studied what was happening in the Abbasi period in the Muslim Ummah? Like the things you're considering crazy extremes and fitna, and all of this stuff existed, man. All of this, without a device, it still existed. It still existed. Allah did not create us to be in ideal situations. Allah created the world to be a challenging place no matter where you are. And then you have to find balance even though you're in a challenging situation. Even though you're in that situation. I pray that the Muslims of this country rise to the occasion, myself included, all of us included, that we recognize that there is a very deep problem in front of us, but that problem should not lead us to just become alerted and scared. This problem is also a major opportunity. It's an opportunity for us to rise to an occasion and to actually show what balance looks like. Everyone in this country is talking about one extreme or the other, a far right extreme, a far left extreme, an authoritarian extreme, a woke extreme, extreme. And no one actually has a narrative that says balance. And the people that have the ability to do that are the Muslims. And the people who need it the most is the rest of humanity, us first and the rest of humanity. So we have an opportunity in front of us. And I pray that this generation actually rises to that occasion. Barakallahu li wa lakum fil Qur'an al-Hakim wa nafa'ani wa iyyakum bil ayati wa dhikr al-Hakim. There are a lot of people standing in the hallway, so let's move in as close as possible. الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى خصوصا على أفضلهم وخاتم النبيين محمد الأمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. قال الله عز وجل في كتابه الكريم بعد أن أقول أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. عباد الله رحمكم الله، اتقوا الله. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. أقم الصلاة إن الصلاة كانت على المؤمنين كتابا موقوتا. I hope you guys enjoyed that video clip. My team and I have been working tirelessly to try to create as many resources for Muslims to give them first steps in understanding the Quran all the way to the point where they can have a deep, profound understanding of the Quran. We are students of the Quran ourselves, and we want you to be students of the Quran alongside us. Join us for this journey on bayinatv.com, where thousands of hours of work have already been put in. And don't be intimidated, it's step by step by step, so you can make learning the Quran a part of your lifestyle. There's lots of stuff available on YouTube, but it's all over the place. If you want an organized approach to studying the Quran beginning to end for yourself, your kids, your family, and even among peers, that would be the way to go. Sign up for bayinatv.com.